I've got to say, Garth, I mean, the window of opportunity is quite slim. The Liberal Party needs to turn this around pretty quickly. When can we start actually seeing some genuine policy announcements?
Look, I think they will be coming very quickly, but the main thing you're going to see is that bedrock laid by Angus on immigration. Clearly, this is a place for people who want to be here. On the economy, we need to be very sensible with our spending, and it needs to be putting Australians first. And look, when you see interest rates going up, this is a sign that these things aren't in play. And I think Angus is best placed, I really do, of anyone on our side to lead us through these difficult economic times.
Yeah, and I mean, he was also on the front foot speaking about the economy today as well, getting back to those basics. He's going to be announcing his front bench soon. Do you expect to get a role on the Angus Taylor front bench?
No, I'm very happy being the member for Groom. I'll leave it to Angus to choose what he wants. Danica, I've been on your show right throughout this term, leading the way on quite a few policy issues, from net zero, spoke about immigration policy. I've been very happy to speak out and make sure that people knew the Liberal Party was still in touch with Australia. Now we've got Angus at the helm. I think he's going to take the lead on that, and that's going to be fantastic.
So you're not worried if you don't get a spot? You want a spot, let's be honest.
Oh, look, anyway, any politician who tells you they don't want a spot is lying to you. But I've learned a lot in this game. The best thing you can do is do your best and leave everything else to chance.
Yeah, no, fair call. And you're right. I mean, you've been very much on the front foot on so many of these issues. How do you now look to claw back votes from One Nation? I know that Pauline Hanson was very critical even of the leadership change on Friday, but clearly there is a problem there. You have been bleeding votes to One Nation. What do you do to win back that support?
Well, once we establish those clear policy foundations on the things that matter to people, on energy, on immigration, on the economy, I think then we have to turn to everyone on the right of politics, no matter where they are, and say, come with me. And I think Angus is going to do that. He's going to tell people, we've got a long way to go to the election, but right now we have to be a credible opposition to Mr Albanese. And if you need to wear your orange shirt for a while, wear it for a while. But on these fights we have to have with Labor right here, right now, come with us. And I think we will show that strength over time. We will show the direction that we're heading in.
Yeah, look, good to hear. As I said, it's a great start to hear Angus Taylor really firing on all fronts when it comes to those issues that I think a lot of Conservative voters have been tearing their hair out about for so long. I want to ask you, I just spoke earlier about these reports in the Daily Telegraph that 14 children in New South Wales have been subjected to suspected forced marriages in the past financial year. These are unofficial ceremonies conducted by Islamic clerics in backyards. It's up from 8 the year before. Garth, my argument is that we've imported this. And again, immigration is key. It comes down to immigration policy. Now, I will point out the majority of Muslims live peacefully in this country, but I am talking about a radical sect of Islam that is incompatible with our values. What do we do about it?
Well, I think we have to acknowledge it is incompatible. I'm one of the few guests you'll have who has lived under Sharia law during my time in Saudi Arabia. I could have lived there very well off, quite frankly. But the contrast and the idea of trying to raise my kids under some of these sort of laws was just too much for me to think. And I came to Australia, came back home. There is such a difference, and we have to acknowledge that. And look, diversity of background is a wonderful thing. It's really interesting. But as a nation, we need unity of purpose. Unity is about where we're going, and it's about tomorrow. And unless we have that, and I'm talking not just individually, but in the little groups around Australia, then we will never be our full potential.
No, that's it. And I do agree. I think it comes down to a lot of acknowledgement that we have brought some people in whose values are incompatible with a Western democracy in particular. And, some who hate us, some who hate our values, and some who have no interest in assimilating into this great country. So, we have to actually raise the point. We can't dance around it. That is absolutely key. Just on the ISIS brides, there are some still being held in northern Syria. They've now applied for Australian passports in an effort to return home. We're talking, Garth, at least 10 women and children who were in Syrian camps. They've lodged applications. Look, here we go again. The jihadi romance doesn't quite work out. They want to come back here to the country in which they betrayed when they left here to go to the death cult. What's your response to this?
Look, I have a lot of sympathy for the children. I imagine they've been raised in very difficult circumstances. The truth is, however, these mothers left Australia, that chose to go to join an army that was fighting against people who share our values, that wanted to violently fight against us. They made that choice. And this isn't a choice that's compatible with living in Australian society. This isn't you can't be a member of ISIS and live down the end of the street and everyone be happy about it. This is something that is completely against our way of life. And they chose that. And they've spent time, sadly, in these camps, which would be an absolute hotbed of fundamentalism and all the sort of things that we try to avoid when we're looking at people who want to come to Australia. So I think I don't have much sympathy in these situations for these women. I'm sorry, they've made their decision. They chose not to be Australians. They chose not to support us at a pivotal time in history. And I can't see something that says why they should be back here.
No, I agree. I've got no sympathy for them either. They knew what they were doing when they left this wonderful country of ours to go and join the death cult. I've no sympathy on my end either. Garth Hamilton, always nice to chat with you. Thanks very much for joining me on the program. Really appreciate it.